Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the WTF1 podcast. It's pre-race Abu Dhabi edition, and we're here. The final race. Oh, my God. It's basically my one noise pre-race review. What's your one noise pre-race review, Tommy? And Katie, yours? You just didn't come through then.
It just was quiet.
Yeah. It sounded like you were screaming from about a mile away.
But yeah, maybe just internal screaming then.
Okay, so it was screaming. Perfect.
It was screaming, yeah.
We dive into the question.
I broke my mic.
You've broken your mic. Brilliant. But we can hear you now, so it's fine. Should we do that again?
I did scream, and
okay.
it just
Fine, we'll carry on. Look, we're off the rails. It's the end of the season. Right, new Abu Dhabi layout. Let's talk about it because, it's changed. And if you don't know about the new Abu Dhabi layout, then you haven't watched our latest video. That's everything you need to know about the new Abu Dhabi Grand Prix thing. So, yes, looks much quicker. I love it. I think it looks brilliant. Not because Merc are
Mercedes fan,
British bias. Just because I think it's much more flowing. Karun Chandok was blowing his own trumpets. He was involved in the
He's never
change or something. Yeah, something like that. But genuinely, I really like it. I think it's flowing. Hopefully, it'll be better for racing. A lot more banked corners. Which is something you never really thought Abu Dhabi would have. But here we are. It looks all right, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's not too bad. I mean, I'm not the kind of person that sits around and just thinks about circuits the whole time. It's not really a kind of the part of F1 that I'm really into. I'm more nerdy, in the stat books, rather than thinking, if I was in charge, I would flatten this turn and make this
I
like
think
this.
that's because you don't play F1, Katie.
It could actually be, yeah. I think maybe that's a good reason as to why, but yeah, it looks nice. The guys seem to be driving around quicker, which is obviously good. And I don't really have much else to add on it apart from everybody's just upset.
Yeah, I mean, I was obviously joking about the Chandok thing. Fair play to him, because I think he has done a good job, all things considered, because obviously we mentioned it on the podcast last year that it's not an easy track to fix because you've got certain things in the way. I mean, I do feel sorry for the guy that is getting getting people sort of saying, "Oh, of course you've changed it to benefit Mercedes," when it was so long ago, and also everyone's been pleading for these changes to have been made for years anyway. Thank goodness it has. I'm still a little bit concerned that the second changed corner, the banked sort of quick left-hander, might discourage overtaking a little bit because it's not a heavy braking zone. But I think the main thing, as of course you'll have learned in the wonderful WTF1 video, is that it's more about tyres, isn't it, really? And the fact that the reason Abu Dhabi is so boring is that the track just hurts your tyres and everyone just sits and tyre saves and sits behind their rival behind a second so they can just keep the tyres to the end. But there's even talk it might even be a two-stop.
Well, yeah, because they brought the softest compounded tyres, which obviously hopefully opens up the strategy a little bit. You mentioned about turn 9, I think it is now, the long left-hander, which would have been about turn 14 normally. But that was actually probably the best overtaking opportunity in the previous iteration of the Abu Dhabi track, because that was the second DRS zone after probably getting close after the first DRS zone, and then you could brake hard into that triple left, right, left chicane. So I'm still quite glad that it's gone, but you do make a good point, because it's not as hard of a braking zone into there, so they may struggle. But of course, Merc was fastest in FP2. There's been a lot of track limit violations and warnings and lap times deleted. But it does look as though Mercedes are quickest, and on paper that seemed to be the way that it went in Saudi, and it has done for a few races now. And of course, they won't have had the spicy Brazil engine in there either, but you can't imagine Red Bull would have been turned up to the max either. Next question. I don't even know what I did. Zazomga. This track just screams Merc at the moment. Will it be a walk in the park for Ham this weekend? I love these questions so much, because we were like Saudi. Oh, going to be the easiest race in the world for Hamilton and Mercedes. They're going to get a 1-2. They're going to drive away into the sunset. Nothing's going to happen. And what happened? We had probably one of the most controversial races for a very, very long time. So again, on paper, yes, it looks as though Mercedes may have a couple of tenths in hand, but that seems about it. We're not talking, I don't think, a second down the road. They will probably have the advantage, but just like in Saudi, it seemed as though Red Bull were quicker over one lap, at least in Max's hands, and maybe with Max absolutely sending it to the limit and over. There's some other interesting talking points where Max was doing his long runs on the soft tyres in FP2, which may actually suggest that he'll go onto the soft tyre in Q2 and start the race on the soft tyre so that he gets the launch that he may need to get track position over Hamilton, which I imagine they're expecting them to potentially get pole. So lots of factors to take into play here that could spice things up quite nicely.
Yeah, exactly. You can't just write it off. I mean, we thought it with Sochi, we thought it with Paul Ricard, these races, and they've been incredible races. I know it's a bit cliche to be like, the rule book has been ripped up, but it is so true. And the perfect example was Saudi, where we thought, oh, that's it, Mercedes walk over, and you just can't predict it. I know it's a bit more of an extreme circuit, but red flag, it only takes like a VSC at the end with, even if Verstappen's like 10 seconds behind Hamilton and can't get anywhere near him, it only takes a VSC or a safety car at the end. Equally, Verstappen could gamble and put soft tyres on and go for the kind of Paul Ricard. We could see that Paul Ricard chasing strategy, or equally Hamilton chasing Verstappen. There's so many factors there to suggest that you can't write it off, even though it's Abu Dhabi.
Yeah, no, like you say, we saw Lewis quickest in FP2, but then Esteban Ocon in P2 sneaking up there and Bottas P3. Practice 1, Max was quickest. Obviously, practice 2 is the one that's going to be the most comparable to qualifying tomorrow. But depends if Max really is going to put it all on the line tomorrow, like we saw in Saudi with his incredible qualifying lap before he got to the final turn.
No, it's not an incredible qualifying lap because he didn't finish it.
I'm on with you, Katie, but I'm just sorry. I'm just doing the voice of Twitter.
Oh, okay. Yeah, just shut that down. It really is anybody's to take this weekend, which is what makes it so exciting. And I just wish that people would be able to embrace that a bit more, and instead of looking at all the negatives of crash Verstappen, fraud Hamilton. I'm doing the Twitter voice now. Sorry, guys.
It's taken over.
It has. You've passed it over. But just as difficult as it may be, just try and soak in all the good things and appreciate that we have one of the most incredible championship battles we're ever going to see in our flipping lifetimes. This is legendary. It's going to be talked about in 50 years' time when, I don't know, somebody who's got a kid on the grid, they're going to be racing F1, somebody's going to be doing punditry, and it's going to be one of these things of like, oh, my granddad was racing in that year of Formula One, and it was a really crazy year. And I know what I'm trying to say.
Granddad, tell us about the 2020 F1 season.
Yeah, literally.
Oh, actually, I was just moaning on Twitter. I didn't really enjoy it.
Yeah, that's the thing. I said something very similar, Katie, on Twitter, to be fair, a day or two ago. I agree. I wasn't saying copyright. I'm of completely the same opinion. But what I will do, especially on Sunday, is, of course, I have to get tweets for Internet Special Reactions, but I will be fully enjoying that race without a care in the world about what anyone else thinks. And it will be very much we aren't going to see this for a very, very long time. Enjoy it. That's it. Like if social media stresses you out and people are horrible to you on there because your opinion doesn't match with theirs, don't go on it. Just enjoy it.
Log off. It's not real life.
Exactly.
Time to log off. George Russell meme.
It is time to log off. Right. Okay. Moving on. Next question. Team WTF1 member Thomas Dandridge asks, Christian Horner seems to be playing the underdog card quite a lot. Do you think he thinks Red Bull are struggling this weekend? I think Christian Horner usually, I don't know, he seems to say it how it is quite a lot, but then both himself and Toto Wolff can sometimes be a bit, obviously, rose-tinted glasses for their own team. I think he genuinely does believe that Red Bull are behind. Of course he would. They're on the back foot. They've lost the last 3 races to Hamilton. So why would you not think it'd be any different in Abu Dhabi, especially with the fact those changes seem to favour Mercedes a bit more because it's a bit more of a power track. So yeah, I think that if Max wins the championship, he will be quite surprised personally. But doesn't matter what Christian Horner thinks.
Yeah. Well, he doesn't think that. He thinks his opinion is the most important one of them all, according to Drive.
Whoa! Drama alert, according to who?
Whoop, whoop, Drive to Survive.
Oh, I thought it was just
or just himself. Yeah.
According to my brain.
Exactly. But I guess going into this weekend, you could argue that they're more of an underdog, but it's not exactly like he's piloting or like looking after the Williams team or something. He's the team principal for Red Bull. It's not like it's a heap of crap or whatever. It's like a very competitive car in its own way. So my sympathy only goes so far. But hey, Toto Wolff and Christian Horner had a nice little press conference this morning or afternoon in Abu Dhabi. And we got a handshake. Woo! And they seem to be
Toto.
Yes, it was.
Not going to be in Drive to Survive that. They won't show that.
No, they won't.
They'll show it and then they'll show explosions, or they'll edit it so that they didn't do it.
Spit in his hand. To be fair, though, to give some context as well, Christian Horner also did do a handshake after the press conference was done. So it was instigated by both, but at different points. Before everybody starts typing in the comments that it was both people. But yeah, I don't know. I think Mercedes are probably going to walk this, but credit where credit's due. Red Bull have done a mega job this weekend. And like I say, it's been years since they've been in a position where they're actually up at the front fighting. Yes, Christian Horner could have handled himself better 9 times out of 10 this season, I think. But then same can go for Toto. But yeah, I think if I had to put money on a team that would do well this weekend, it will be the Mercedes. They just look stronger here.
Yeah. Christian, I feel like he's, saying it how it is, and also he's gone like full on pressure with Mercedes, and it's not really worked. So I think now the way he's playing it in these final races are just to kind of go with the narrative of, look, well, we've done amazing. Keep the team sort of like calm and happy above the final race, not put too much pressure on the mechanics or Max and everyone else, and just basically go with the whole thing of, well, no one else has ever pushed Mercedes in the hybrid era this far to get them to the final race. And that's what he's really like bigging up a lot. So he's just going for that. So then when or if they don't win the title, he can obviously just be, the same thing of like, well, we gave it our best and what an amazing season it was.
I don't believe that for a second, that deep down he's like, oh yeah, well, we're the underdogs, mate. Because obviously they have lost, certain points at certain parts of the season. And also, I don't think how Christian Horner acts with the media and how he's like, oh, we're underdogs, is how he acts with the team itself. I reckon it is full-blown bulldozer pressure. Like, you will win this championship. Because, Christian Horner's a scary bloke. You don't want to be on the wrong side of him. But no, I personally think the way he acts with the media and the way he acts with his team will be completely different.
Yeah, maybe.
Cool. All right, good opinion. I agree to disagree. Next question. At Real Alkpant. Long runs in P2 showed that Red Bull maybe is thinking of soft tyres for Q2 and race start. Hey, you've been reading my mind. Is it possible strategy will play a massive role on Sunday? Well, Red Bull rolled the dice in Saudi Arabia, went onto the medium tyres, managed to get track position over Hamilton. Of course, didn't end up working out that way due to a million different things happening. But they have to try and get track position. It doesn't matter how. If they put Perez on the intermediates, hoping for a rainstorm, whatever they need, they will do just to get ahead of Hamilton, because then they can start to influence the race. They can't influence the race if Lewis is driving off into the sunset on medium tyres and they've just copied the strategy. If they, by FP3, decide, we are really quite behind what Mercedes are doing, they're going to have to do something different. And the only thing that really looks that way is a soft tyre race start.
Yeah, I can't believe that all the many, many podcasts I've sat here and roasted the Q2 tyre rule, it has now become spicy. Well, it's finally actually, provided some excitement if it happens, because, if Max goes for the soft tires, you've got to assume that they've done that with an absolute dive bomb into turn one, like he did in Saudi, that the when he had the mediums on, with that in mind. So they'll be going for that. But then equally, if they put the soft tires on and he gets pole anyway, it's like, oh, is that the right choice? Because they won't really want to be on the softs. They've got to try something different. And I guess the Q2 tire rule does actually mean that it's going to happen, which would make it quite exciting if they do go on different strategies. Because I think it is realistically the only way I can see Verstappen winning if he does something a little bit different on strategy.
And just before you go into your point, Katie, just want to say Tommy and myself are wearing exactly the same Christmas jumper, because
you just can't see it.
I can't believe we didn't actually.
And also, I noticed earlier you're both drinking really similar drinks.
We're so in sync.
Oh my God, guys!
What colour is yours? Come on, Tommy, let's see it. For audio listeners, we are holding up both of our blackcurrant / summer fruit squash. Lovely. But yes, we're wearing. Yeah, are they? Not for me. But yes, we are all wearing Christmas jumpers. If you want to get your own, go to the WTF1 shop at shop.wtf1.com.
I can't really do it justice.
Carry on, Katie.
I can't remember what my point was. I think it was pretty much echoing what you guys were going to say. And that I think that the biggest surprise of the 2021 season has been that Tommy was actually slightly positive about the Q2 tire rule. So
I know.
There we go.
You know that it's been a crazy season when he says something good about the Q2 tire rule. Love it.
So true.
But yeah, that could be a really interesting thing, especially if Verstappen manages to get ahead of Bottas. Huge role for Valtteri Bottas this weekend. Looks like he's really struggling, to be honest with you. Like he is locking up, and he's locked up into turn one about 5 times, I swear. We just kept seeing replays of him just not particularly at one with that car. So Bottas is going to have to get his head around whatever setup issues he's got at the moment, and he needs to get P2. For Mercedes, he needs to lock out that front row. If that happens, Max hasn't got a great opportunity, really. Although when you say that,
doesn't
that
stop Max going past.
It doesn't.
He's got the hairpin
sending
now.
it. Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean. So if you get a good run, say he gets ahead of Bottas into turn one, which is a long run, then you have the sweeping corners all the way down to turn 5. So yeah, it's not over until it's over. Let's talk.
And even then, it's probably still going to be investigated. So
yeah, very true. Until Michael Massey sings, that's basically what we have to wait for. Speaking of Michael Massey, let's speak about the fact that the FIA have revealed, although it's no news to anybody, that they may deduct points if there's a crash. Max Verstappen was asked this, so was Lewis Hamilton. Lewis was just not really that phased. Max said that it's not changed anything. It's not like it's a brand new thing that they've introduced for this weekend. Like that's always been the case. Just saying stuff like that, you're like, why now? I know what they're trying to do. They're trying to obviously put the drivers off of doing such a crash on lap 1 and, the title's over. But at the same time, they can't have a different mindset going into the last race over the last 21 that we've seen. And it, again, for me, highlights inconsistency, because it almost feels like they are, very trigger happy to be like, well, you lose 5 points, lose a point, lose half a point. That's all you need to lose in this championship fight for someone to win the title over the other person, potentially, if they both DNF. So don't know what to make of that, really. I don't think it was really necessary.
No, I mean, like you say, this isn't a rule that has just been introduced for this weekend. It has always existed, but it's been more inside the sporting code than the sporting regulations. So it's not really listed along with time penalties or disqualifications or that kind of stuff. But yeah, it was unusual seeing that come up in Michael Massey's race event notes, because like you say, there should be consistency. The same rules apply for every single race. And just because it's finale, and yes, there is more on the line, it shouldn't be that the rules or the way things are investigated or punished should change. And plus, I would like to get some clarification on it of like what offence is what point. Obviously, we know if you're caught, I don't know, if you not take someone out of, for example, cause a collision in the race, then you get a 5-second penalty, 2 penalty points, Bob's your uncle.
Brake checking is 10 seconds. That's what we know. So
yeah, exactly.
Max gets ahead, brake checks, gets a 10-second penalty, off he goes.
Exactly. So we're sort of getting a bit of a library of what each incident and like what it gives as a penalty. But for points taking off, like if you take your title rival out, is that 3 points deducted? Is that 10 points? Is it 20 points? Is it 50 points? Like what does each event
how they're judging it? Because
to?
you could argue that when Max goes for a dive bomb and sends it, which we've all been saying is absolutely brilliant and fair when Hamilton when there's not any kind of contact, say Saudi Arabia, the second restart, brilliant move. What's to stop Hamilton just turning in and then going, well, he's crashed into me, give him a penalty, I've won the championship? Because I know our whole narrative is being pushed on Verstappen can take Hamilton out, but equally this also puts it into Hamilton's hands where he could almost do something. It's not, I know Hamilton can't crash to win the title, but equally if Verstappen comes down the inside of him, Hamilton could just turn in and be like, oh, he's crashed into me. Do you know what I mean?
Points deduction.
And I'm glad you said what you did as well, Matt, because I was thinking about the very same, that we won't go into the actual incidents and what we think because we've mentioned it so many times. Yeah. But Silverstone and Monza, for example, if we're going based on what the stewards decided, and which is that Hamilton was at fault for Silverstone and Max was at fault for Monza. In Monza, Verstappen has, according to the FIA, crashed into Hamilton, and Hamilton was going to be ahead of him, gain a lot of points, and Max can just go, well, I'll crash into him, and it's even, and I'll get a grid drop, although equally it didn't even matter. Equally, Hamilton in Silverstone crashes into Max and can, because he's got such a car advantage, take a 10-second penalty, get his way through the field and get 25 points. So why is it only a points reduction in the last race? Because, do you know what I mean? Like, Hamilton could have crashed into Max most races. Max could have crashed into Hamilton most races, and then it only matters in the final race. That's not really fair, is it? And I get why they've done it, because they've got to set some kind of precedent, but it really does come down to consistency of like, you can't, because we've said it as well, like the stewards, it's so obvious that they've just tried to leave it be and just create this whole situation where they're level on points into the final race, and it's amazing for Formula One. Then you can't just change the rules now, because there's going to be so many questions going into this final race of what you can and can't do, because it's been so inconsistent throughout the whole year. It's just silly, isn't it?
I love that. Tommy went on a little rant there.
Yeah,
right?
I'm proud of you.
Segment. Really
it was
enjoyed
a bit,
that.
Yeah.
But
learn from the best.
Yeah, exactly. Did you just dab? Was that a dab?
I didn't dab. No, I tapped myself on the back.
I just saw it in the corner of my eye and I was like, did Katie just dab? That's something that I would do.
Slugging off Michael Massey.
Yeah, I mean, you were echoing my point, and I echoed the rest of the stuff that you just said, Tommy, because the thing is, it's like because obviously they've said this, you see all the level of incidents that we've had, and you go, well, how much worse can we get? Are we talking that if it is deemed as a deliberate move, that's when the deduction is going to happen? Or is it going to be, okay, well, Max just goes for the move, misjudges it a little bit, they crash, but then that's no different to what we've seen previously.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Hamilton gets a 10-second penalty for Silverstone, which a lot of people think was a bit, obviously a bit light or whatever, but there was never any discussion of points being deducted. And I'm not a fan of that at all, to be honest with you.
If on the final lap and Max takes, a shorter, completely Alonso's it over the chicane and plows into the side of Hamilton, then there's totally understandable to do some kind of points reduction. But when it's like just contact for them racing, how do you judge it? You just can't. So
it could just be unlucky that they both get, knocked out, and then you think, well, Max probably still deserves to win the title, but then the stewards
it's chaos. I don't want
I'd love to have just, a running FIA feed if
I want to be
that
a fly
does
on the
happen.
wall in that steward's
But
room.
God forbid if they crash on lap 1. I don't want it. I really don't want it. Like that would just be such a flat end to the season. Right, moving on. At Vettel Laporte, we've seen a lot of discussion on what happens if Max takes out Lewis or vice versa. But what if the number 2s get involved? Say if Valtteri takes out Max suspiciously, would he be at risk of a point deduction, disqualification, or both drivers and the whole team? This is where it gets even more murky with the fact that obviously if Valtteri takes out Max, Valtteri is susceptible to the penalty. However, the investigation may go further into the sense that if this was predetermined and Lewis knew about it and all this good stuff, and then it becomes a big deal and it goes to lawyers that don't have a clue about the sport that they're looking at, then it could get very, very messy indeed. I don't think either team want to sort that out that way. It's a bad look for their reputation and whatnot, but that's my understanding. Katie, you sleep with the stewards. I mean, you sleep with the regulation book.
That is the best mix of words I've ever heard.
Oh, I'm going red. Oh my God. Right. I shouldn't have probably paused there. When I said it, I was like, that's the wrong word. And then it pieced together and I was like, oh no. Right. Oh my God. You usually sleep with the technical sporting, all the regulations. You love reading it in bed. Nothing to do with the stewards themselves. What's your understanding?
Oh my God. Well, it says in the event notes that Michael Massey sent out, points should not be deducted separately from drivers and competitors, save in exceptional circumstances. So maybe if it is evident that Perez takes out Hamilton, Bottas takes out Verstappen, vice versa. Sorry, I'm just trying to read what my laptop says through the tears. But yeah, I mean, the last thing we want is another Crashgate scenario with interworkings of teams. I'm not suggesting that either team is capable of such a thing, because I think really that is the lowest of the low if you're going to deliberately try and get one of your drivers to wipe out a competitor. But
and if a team gets seen as guilty, they get fined an absolute truckload.
They could be disqualified.
Disqualified.
And also
banned from the sport, literally.
I mean, Sergio Perez has been around in the sport for ages. He's a extremely well-respected racing driver. I've seen a lot of people go, oh, they could just get Perez to, Perez is not going to taint his career, his entire career. Because if Perez crashed into Hamilton on purpose, equally if Bottas crashed in, that would define their whole career. They would not be remembered.
People are going to think I'm laughing at the Perez thing, but in the back of my head, I'm just replaying what happened. And I can see Katie looking, I think, around at where we are on the video, seeing if we were still laughing. Sorry, Tom, you're making a great point. Yes. I'm crying as well.
Yes. So basically, what I'm trying to get at is Perez and Bottas wouldn't do that on purpose. And if they did, they're going to be, that would define their entire career, all the wins, everything. They will just be remembered for that. And there's no way that they're ever going to want that. However much Bottas would like Hamilton to win the title and Perez would like Max to win the title, unless his Sky interview where it said, who's going to win the title? And he went, I really hope Verstappen wins the title, which is just I think he just fumbled his words a little, but it was very funny.
No, I think he genuinely believes that Hamilton's going to win the title, but he forgot who he raced for a second.
Yeah.
And then it was like, Verstappen. Anyway, so no, that's not going to happen, is it really? Not on purpose anyway.
Yeah.
There still will be a huge amount of controversy if it does happen.
It's an interesting point though, because obviously the Bottas Hungary incident was a mistake. It was in the wet, but imagine if he had done it, or it happened in this race, it is a genuine lockup.
Yeah.
We saw it
he
went literally last race. He so nearly broke went up the back of Verstappen.
Perez as well, yeah. But if he had, and it is a genuine lockup, it's like, where do you draw the line? Because again, it goes back to the original point of when is a mistake just a mistake, or when is it a deliberate crash to take out your rival, and how do you judge something like that? it would be very silly. But who knows? Maybe it does happen, and we find out who wins the world title in like April next year.
Perhaps, maybe round 1 is when they announce it. Next question. _Vanbo. Favorite tribute / finale helmet or livery? I'll be honest, I haven't gone through all of them.
You haven't read my article. Well, I haven't watched your video, so
yeah, exactly. That's what I mean. I was about to say. Have you? But I've seen a few, and I very much like Lando's helmet. I think that was very cool, as well as Charles Leclerc's. So,
I was waiting for that one. Yep.
Looks very cool as well. Carlos Sainz is quite nice. And I very much like the livery of Alfa Romeo saying "Thank you, Kimi." Or no, leave. Was it "We'll leave you alone, Kimi"? Or something?
Yeah.
I think it's brilliant. So yeah.
Oh, that's a good question. There have been so many new helmet designs. I like Sebastian Vettel's because of what it stands for. He's got lots of things written on the side. It's called the World's To-Do List. So it includes everything from Black Lives Matter to LGBTQ+, to refugees, to forest fires, and literally everything that he'd like to see fixed and more harmonious, which is just such a Seb Vettel thing to do. Nice. It's really touching. It's lovely. And then Hamilton's rainbow helmet's been given a sparkle treatment. I really am not a fan of Danny Rick's one. It's already quite garish and quite out there. And now to make it glittery, it's like, whoa, it's a bit too much. And as for the livery, I'm just going to sound miserable because I don't really rate the McLaren one. And I suppose the Alfa Romeo one's quite nice, but I don't know. It's not going to ever compare to the Golf livery of Monaco. Nothing ever will.
I like the McLaren. And the Alfa is, a nice touch. I think favourite helmet, I'd probably go with Giovinazzi because I think it's awesome that he's running Kimi Räikkönen's 2007 helmet design, which I think when it's your own farewell race and you're doing a tribute to your teammate, that's pretty wholesome and a very nice sign of respect to Kimi Räikkönen when, you could quite easily be like, well, this is my final race. I'm, having a goodbye F1 or whatever, but he's used it as a tribute to his teammate. They've got a proper, they're really good friends, kind of a underrated bromance, I'd say.
There's been some talk actually as well about why Hamilton hasn't got a tribute to Bottas on his helmet. Yeah, people are genuinely complaining about that.
Oh my God, really?
I mean, to be fair, I mean, in some regards, Charles did one for Seb, didn't he, when Seb left Ferrari? So people are comparing it to that and going, oh, well, Hamilton said Bottas is the best teammate ever. And he's not even getting a, cheers voucher on the back or something, Final question from Team WTF1 member, Formula Wonderland. But it's with a 1, because that's clever. How sad are we going to be that on Sunday it will be over? I'm in two minds, right? Katie will nod like a little, like one of those nodding dogs in the car because she's finished after annual writing and general season stuff. From my side, again, it's really busy, and I've absolutely loved this Formula One season. I think the controversy's gone a little bit through the roof, so that if anything, after Saudi, as I mentioned a few days ago, I was just kind of still like, geez, this is mad. So I think, as I've said as well in previous WTF1 videos, and especially with the video we made specifically on it, was my opinion of, Formula One has too many races. I think we've come to the end of this season now. I don't really want any more, and we're going into Christmas otherwise if we were. So I'm happy this is the last race, if I'm being completely honest with you. But then we have a couple of months off, refresh, look forward to the new season, new regs, and it'll be excitement all over again. So I'm not actually going to be that sad. But then I say that in a few days' time, I'll get withdrawal symptoms. So it's very much two minds.
Yeah, I'll undoubtedly get a few withdrawal symptoms once the season is done, and then maybe a couple of weeks' time when I'll be expecting a race, because it has felt like there's just always a race on this year. It will feel a little bit like, I'm looking forward to F1 being back, but it will be nice to conclude this season. I think, I'm more looking forward to this season coming to an end, just so we can finally find out who's going to be the champion. Like you say, if it rumbles on anymore, it's just going to get even more controversial and crazy. And we've got new regs to look forward to, which I am very excited about as well, and I think is good for the sport. So I'm also looking forward to just having a nice rest over Christmas, because it has been a pretty hardcore season. However much we love Formula One, we love our job, we love doing this. It does take its toll, and we're not even the poor mechanics that are jet setting to every single race. So
I can see the comments with the smallest violin.
Yeah. Oh yeah. But you have to write about F1 all day.
Yeah. We know that we're in, our dream jobs.
Yeah.
But
100%.
It doesn't mean we don't get a little bit tired sometimes.
Yeah, no, like you say, there's plenty to look forward to in 2022. We've got new regs. We've got Russell to Mercedes, which is something a lot of fans are excited for.
Forgotten about, to be honest.
Yeah, literally.
I think a lot of people have because of this.
Yeah. There's so much going on next year, which is really exciting. However, it will be kind of bittersweet as the checkered flag flies in Abu Dhabi, because we're going to be saying goodbye to these cars, which they have brought us so much entertainment since they were introduced and that kind of stuff. And then the season as a whole, there've just been so many incredible moments that us F1 fans will probably look back on in years to come, and from things like Baku and having people like Sebastian Vettel on the podium with Gasly, and that crazy, that whole race, to be honest, was just mental. And obviously the Ocon win, and there's just so many moments that were like littered through the season that are just so special. So I'll be really sad to see it go, but hopefully next season will be just as good. I pray it will, although I think I'm kind of just lying to myself, because I don't think it's going to take a lot to match this year, which is one of the things that I'm sad about, because it will be a case of looking back at this in 20 years time and thinking what an amazing season it was. So I sound like I'm upset and emotional, but I'm just still thinking back to what was said earlier and trying to not stop myself from laughing. But anyway, I think we're all a bit delusional and ready for the season to finish, to be honest.
I'd counter your argument and say I cannot wait for this Formula One car to go.
Really?
I'm not going. It won't be missed. Too fast, too difficult to overtake. Can't follow. The performance gaps are dreadful. And however much it is an amazing season, this sounds really negative, but you've still obviously got two Formula One teams that will win every race without a failure. So I think hopefully, this will age very bad when we look back on it, and Mercedes are 20 seconds clear in Bahrain next year. But fingers crossed, it's a bit closer and the racing's better.
I love how we're doing this outro and it feels like we've finished the season. We've still got one race to go,
guys.
Everybody. We're not done yet. We're not signed off. And just remember as well, we will not be
There's a race.
Content.
There's a race on.
Yes.
Are they level on points?
369.5 points, if I haven't seen that 100,000 times. So there is one more race to go, and don't worry as well, we will not be stopping the content once the season is over. We'll be doing lots of recap stuff, looking back at the season, everything like that, and of course into January, where we're all very sad as F1 fans. We will have lots of content then as well, so do not worry. We won't leave you until the season begins again. We will be right there alongside you. So there you go. Katie, final thoughts?
Final thoughts are enjoy this weekend.
I thought you were going to say I don't sleep with the stewards.
Well, that goes without saying. I'd like to think.
Okay, brilliant. That's about as insightful as Tommy's final thoughts usually. Tommy, you going to beat that?
I will say well done to our buddy Jack Aitken, who did FP1 today. Beat Latifi. Come back from a very horrendous injury and got back in a Formula One car for the first time. Ahead of Latifi, he'd been in the car all season. I think he did very well for himself, and I'm happy to see him back in an F1 car and doing well. So well done,
lovely
Jack.
Stuff. Sorry, Jack, we should have probably mentioned you a little bit earlier than that, but Tommy didn't put you in the sheet. So right, thank you, everybody.
I needed a final thought
Jack,
to cover myself.
There you go. Yeah, well done, Jack, for your FP1 outing, and glad to see you doing a lot better. Right, thank you everybody for watching and listening. #WTF1 podcast if you want to get involved in the conversation moving forward. Go to shop.wtf1.com if you want to buy some Christmas merch or some normal merch. It's all up there. Lots of thumbs ups from Tommy, the WTF1 founder. Oh my God, I didn't even say that at the top of the show. What is wrong with me? Oh, God, mate, that's it. I'm not going to make Abu Dhabi, unfortunately. And of course, Katie, the WTF1 author. We'll see you very soon. Bye.
Bye.
1 second final thought.
Please don't fire me.
Be nice on Sunday, everyone.
Yeah.
Just be nice. Just be nice.
Enjoy it.
Just
be nice.